All right. So we the stream is now prepared for the next match. It's McNuggets versus DeaconEricson, aka Eric. I don't know if stream can currently hear me, so chat, please give me an indicator once again if you can actually hear me or not. All right, you can hear me. Excellent. It seems that Dan is... Dan, are you here?
I'm here.
Ah, excellent. So all we're missing currently is Eric's stream. I'm going to tune in. I'm going to try to figure out what's going on real quick. So Dan, if you want to talk about these players a little bit.
I don't even know who's racing, man.
All right, that's fine. I'll do it after. Yeah. I'll say. Let's see. Where is Eric? He was streaming earlier. I know. Just before I hopped on commentary for the previous match, I saw that he was streaming. So let's see what's going on.
Yeah, I'm still setting up my restream footage.
Yeah, their stream is live, so I don't know why it's not getting picked up. All right, so in the meantime, let's talk a little bit about the runners. So on the left, we have McNuggets, aka Paulo Kelly, aka Irish Champion. He was featured in the SMK Showcase about 10 days ago, if you happen to tune into that. He is a very enthusiastic, very rapidly improving member of our community who started playing about I want to say it's been just over a year. So I believe he officially joined our community in November 2018, I want to say. And he has been rapidly improving throughout that time. Yes, I received confirmation in chat. It was November 2018. And he brings a very high level of enthusiasm for the game. We're very happy to have him among us and join us. He went to his first World Championships last August in the Netherlands, and did quite well for himself. And I think he had the time of his life. That further cemented him as a member of our community.
Well, if you don't have the time of your life at CDM, you're doing something
went wrong. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, one of the most fun parts of being part of this community is watching people rise the ranks from joining at 200 or 300 or something like that, and just rocketing up the charts as they slowly figure out the game and start to improve and add those advanced techniques and get advice from people like Sami and Carl and Scoob and Mio and all these all-time greats that are still playing. And they wind up passing you because you haven't really played seriously for 10 years. I mean, not that I'm referring to anyone in particular, but but yes, McNuggets has been an excellent fixture in the community for the last year and a half-ish.
Yeah.
And he also streams, which is double good.
Yes, and it's also surprisingly rare in our community. We're trying to fix that very slowly, but yeah, for the time being, it's rare to find a regular SMK streamer. Okay, so it seems that the players are taking care of the match procedure in chat, so I'll leave them at it. And then go on to our other player, who is listed under the username of DeaconEricson. But prior to this tournament, I had never seen him use before, so I'm just going to call him by his first name, is Eric. And Eric is from Monroe, Louisiana. Well, actually, I'm not sure if he's actually from Monroe, but he's from Louisiana. And he is part of a fantastic crew of characters called the Cartel, with a K, who are some of the only Americans to ever attend championships in Europe. They came as a group, and the two figureheads, or best players and most prominent ones in their group, are Eric himself and Matt. So Matt, who is also in this tournament. Eric is an extremely strong time trial player, very accomplished. His peak performance is on his favorite course, Choco Island 2, where he currently holds the 5-lap world record, which is a very impressive accomplishment considering his overall rank. He is ranked far below anyone else who has a world record, which tend to be confined to a very elite group of players. And so he's managed to pull through and be one of the extremely rare track specialists in SMK. But since hitting that world record several months back, he has since improved his overall level quite a bit, and is ranked quite highly. He's, I believe, 13th currently in the time trial rankings. And as one of the organizers for Mario Kart, coming up in just over 3 weeks, he has been practicing very hard, and that reflected in his seeding run for this tournament, which is the first time that many of us, including myself, had seen him do any sort of Grand Prix speed. And he got summoned as soon as he arrived through the door by his roommate Matt, and was told, "Hey, sit down, do an all cups run as seeding for this tournament that you're going to be joining." And he got a time that was good enough to make him the 4th seed in this tournament, just behind Matt himself. And on that note, now that I've introduced the players, I'm going to go ahead and give them the countdown for this first cup, which will be Flower Cup. And yes, the American Super Mario Kart Championships are happening on the weekend of March 14 and 15. I just want a quick confirmation from... Okay, yes, they're both ready. Okay, so on go. Nope, abort. All right, I got an abort just before go. Abort. That's wrong. All right, false start. All right, ready again? Ready? All right, let's try that again.
We were just making sure, very sure, that we were ready for Flower Cup.
Yeah, and care to remind us why you picked Flower Cup as the opening cup in your match just before this?
So my least confident cup is actually Flower Cup. And
Really?
I just
Okay.
wanted to get it out of the way and get any jitters taken care of before starting other races. So that's why I figure Flower is my worst one. Star is everyone's worst one, but it has the most variability with Bowser Castle 3 and multiple feather shortcuts on all the tracks, and then Special is actually my most confident.
Oh,
So
really? Okay.
that's why I was kind of mad at Fire Waster for choosing to ban that one.
So I guess that confirms it was a good tactical decision from him.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because in this format, being up 2-1 after 3 cups is really important. Oh, we see a shelfie from Eric right off the bat. Beautiful.
Everyone loves a good shelfie.
Yes.
We'll get the timers or the stream synced up eventually.
Yeah,
But
it'll happen.
yeah, so Choco Island 1, a lot of people that are watching now, a lot of the SMK crew kind of know the whole deal with this one. We want feathers and mushrooms. A feather can skip almost all of this track, just like Choco Island 2. And mushrooms provide the most powerful long boost you can get in the entire game because of all these little bumps, little moguls along the course. They don't slow you down at all.
Yep, so both at pretty similar times. They're not great times. I would, in particular, expect a bit more from Eric, but since it's just the beginning of the match, just the very first race, got to get those nerves out, and CI1 isn't exactly the easiest.
Yeah, especially when you go for the wall hop. I've been experimenting with that and miserably failing all the time, so I'm going to continue on with my old school 1993 route or whatever.
Yes, we mentioned on commentary for your match prior, that your line was extremely old school, and it was in stark contrast to Guillermo's modern line, the wall hop. All right, looks like we got a sync from production, so now it should be a more obvious comparison between the players.
So Ghost Valley 2 is lovingly referred to as Crash Valley, just because towards the end of the lap it gets all narrow and there are all these turns in real quick succession. And once you get into lap traffic, it's a real nightmare to navigate through all that without actually hitting a computer player. So being able to pull off a low 50 is pretty tough to do. And we are basically tied right now.
Yeah. So Eric had a small lead after CI1, and then McNuggets made that back in GV2. I'm curious to see how these players use their items. On the one hand, so as I mentioned, I know very little how prepared and practiced Eric is in GP. So I have no idea how comfortable he feels with his items. Meanwhile, push-ups for McNuggets.
Yeah, and I still have to do my 10 push-ups for Bowser Castle 3. I did I actually did those. I did 30 while Guillermo was racing Mario Circuit 4. I know there's 10 push-ups from somewhere that I have to do. Maybe it was Koopa Beach 2.
Could be, yeah. Yeah, so that's Eric, and then McNuggets really wants to do a lot of item tricks. I know a little bit of what his form is like, and I know he really wants to do his item tricks. It's right into the green. But he doesn't quite have the consistency yet to really gain time off of them. He tends to make quite a few mistakes because he really wants to push himself and drive to his limit. And when you're playing in Grand Prix especially, that tends to cost you quite a bit, because when you're trying to drive at your very best, you make a lot more mistakes.
And yes, Polar Bear Ted actual push-ups. It's kind of a meme in our community, mostly because one of the best players in the world, KVD, he always misses the zoom start for some reason, and I make fun of him for that. And it was kind of an embarrassing display on my part in the last match, missing 4 of them. Especially when it's so easy. I mean, I guess I have to say easy is a relative term, because you do have a visual cue. Once the round 4, like on Eric's screen right now, just before that's gone, when it's about 2/3 of the way scrolled away or whatever, however you say it, that's when you want to press the B button to start your gas or start your accelerator, and then you'll get the zoom start every time. But I mean, easy is relative because it's only about a 4-frame window in the last few tracks. The first track is much more forgiving because it's an 8-frame window of each cup, or first track of each cup. And we got 20 push-ups.
And just to clarify, the frame window difference is based on your position on the starting grid. It's not because it's the first track of the cup and because they're the other tracks in the cup. It's just based on the position you start them in.
I always rationalized it as it's how many coins you have.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, let's call it that. Concrete drown for Eric.
Bowser Castle 2, it's real critical to be able to hop over these yellow jump bars properly. Especially, I mean, if you hit all the yellow jump bars going at top speed with Bowser on, well, pretty much any character on 150cc, you'll fly right over the next lava pit or next yellow jump bar and go right into the lava pit.
Yep. Go for a nice little lava bath. All right, so it's lap 5. Eric has a feather. Let's take a look. Will he go for the finish line?
He nailed it.
Oh, nice. Beautiful. Very nice. I'm glad we got that trick in a match.
We got a plume on the left side, too.
Yes.
Now, if as the French is being aggressive, like you say he's going to be, we could see another one.
Especially since he's this far back, I expect him to attempt it. Because I also think that he's reasonably confident. At least. But he slowed down. It should still be okay. No, he goes... His line is... You need to curve around to land that. And his line, he tries to drive straight at it. And that does not work.
Yeah,
because you need to trigger the finish lap from behind. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just going to mention that with the positioning of the finish line, you actually have to do a right-facing slide. Ooh, rank out. Ouch.
Yeah, unfortunately,
you have to do a right turn to slide, and that'll kick your cart to the left and position you on that side of the finish line.
Yeah, so it looks like McNuggets, having learned from... Well, no, okay. He must have seen how far behind he is now.
Well, honestly, going up against Eric, who... What was his seed for this tournament? Fourth? Yeah. I was going to say 4th or 5th. Eric is the heavy favorite.
Yes.
So if you rank out against one of these guys that are tops in the world, it's basically over.
Yeah, so what happened there, if you're not familiar with how SMK works, is that in Grand Prix, to advance to the next track, you need to finish within the top 4. And McNuggets finished 5th on Bowser Castle 2 because he went for the feather finish and failed it. So that meant that he had to redo BC2. And he most likely knew how far behind he was compared to Eric.
Yeah, especially Bowser Castle 2 being the whale shark of SMK. That's an extra minute 40 if you're racing moderately well that you're going to give up.
It does not rank out last place every lap. If you're in the bottom 4 at the end of the 5th lap. All right. McNuggets is picking Mushroom Cup. So that'll be the next. I think this pick makes sense from McNuggets because Mushroom Cup is by far his most practiced cup. And it's also the one where upsets are the most feasible, generally speaking. Because it's usually the track that non-top players are the most confident in. It's the easiest one to be able to drive cleanly, or close to cleanly. And also, all it takes is to get a feather on BC, land it, and then you have a several second lead, or you create a several second gap with your opponent. All right, so I'm going to do the countdown for the players.
Yeah, Mushroom Cup, pretty much everyone's most practiced cup, to be honest. I'd say it has about as much variability with items as Star Cup does, especially if you know the Donut Plains 1 mushroom trick, which is the hardest of the Donut Plains mushroom tricks to pull off. You can basically skip an entire lap, similar to the Choco Island 1 or Choco Island 2 feather.
Absolutely.
But
yep.
You have to fire the mushroom at a wall right after the finish line, hop into the wall, and then have your cart bounce on the top of a little patch of water. And that gives you enough lift to go over the wall. And since feathers can't be obtained on Mario circuits or Donut Plains, that's your only option to hop those walls.
Yeah. I lost my train of thought. Yeah, go ahead.
Question in chat by Bonfire. The AI, I mean, if you're racing like up to your capabilities, for the most part, I mean, I would say Eric is a fairly high to upper tier player. You know, not quite god tier, but top tier.
Definitely. Yeah.
And McNuggets is definitely high tier as well. So if they're racing like they should be, the AI shouldn't come into play like for a rank out whatsoever. Sideways long boost by Eric. Yeah. But they will always come into play once you start lapping them. And you should be basically lapping all of them on every single track. So they can bump you around. Yoshi especially seems to like to snipe you with his eggs. Princess and Toad, their mini mushrooms, if you get hit by one of those, is pretty much a guaranteed 8 to 10 second loss. And if you get squished at the wrong time, it's 15 seconds. So in terms of overall time loss, it's negligible for your 8-minute run for a single cup, but they definitely can throw you off in certain situations.
It is a very important skill. It's one that's often underappreciated by players in our community because we tend to focus on time trials so much. But being able to dodge the CPUs is not trivial at all, and it takes quite a bit of skill. And not one that is developed with most of our players.
Case in point, Eric getting bumped by DK while he's trying to build up a boost over that long patch of grass. Nearly sniped by Yash, too.
Okay, just a safe shroom. Doesn't want to risk it. Yeah, I don't think we're going to see the Moses shroom on DP1 very often.
Are you going to try it in your races, LaFungus?
I might. It depends who I'm playing against. It also depends how big the time difference. It's after MC1. That's also what's tough, is that it's the second track in the cup. So it's kind of hard to know if you have a comfortable enough lead.
Well, on that point too, you have more time to make up for a failed one. So
that is true.
I'm going to say go for it every single time.
It depends who I'm playing against. We'll see.
All right, so we got a question in chat from Kippy 87. So what they're doing in the grass to not slow down is called new boost technique. Discovered sometime in the 90s by some Japanese players, but really adapted to our community in the early 2000s. In Super Mario Kart, to build up a boost, you have to be turning while holding the R button for about 1 second. It's a certain number of frames, but it's basically a full second. And if you release a boost while going over off-road portions, you don't lose any speed. So one of the tricks that we've all come to love is the zigzag boost, where you can trick the game into thinking you're turning for that full second by wiggling your D-pad back and forth. So not being able to lose track position and kind of keep a straight line all the while building up that boost is probably one of the highest level techniques that you can have.
And it also adds a lot of depth to the game. One of the reasons why SMK is still going strong after all these years is that these advanced techniques that were figured out by players a couple decades ago, if not more, are have a lot of depth to them.
Yeah, feather for Eric in a pretty good position without lap traffic coming up.
Yeah, he could just go for it right now. Ooh, yeah.
Oh, done.
Beautiful. Yeah, so this is a very tough position, because even if he had not messed up at all on the 3 tracks leading up to this, he would still be at a disadvantage just because Eric got that feather.
So when you see Eric's lap splits, that's about a 8-second or so time save, maybe more than that even.
Take a look right here. That's yeah, just a bad lap is seconds. A very, very strong lap.
Yeah, your mic is very robotic right now.
Really? Okay.
Alright, Mario Circuit 2. Does Eric go for the long boost or play it safe? I would play it safe. He kind of played it especially safe. So a lot of times off this hairpin, you build up a boost just naturally. Ooh, long boost attempt, hit the pipe afterwards though.
Am I any better now?
You are excellent now. So
right.
One of the main techniques after these arrows is to just build up a boost, hit the arrows, and allow that for you to jump over the wall immediately following that. You hold on the boost through the off-road portion to the finish line. A double clutched long boost, making it sideways there. But
yes, to give some more information on the long boost as Eric finishes up his cup here. So what you need to do is that you need to have some form of a boost. So that's either via a mushroom or a zipper. And you then need to tap a wall you just need to ram into a wall, hop just before you hit it, and release the accelerator. And that just makes it so that the boost effect will extend and last much longer than it normally would.
Yeah, the gas release is the big part of that. That's something that wouldn't be very intuitive just by watching races. And alternatively to that, you can hop into a wall and release the gas. And that kind of puts you into this, your cart is kind of in this locked state. And then if you hit a zipper right after that, then you get into that long boost state. You see that often with the high level players on Ghost Valley 3. when there's a convenient zipper right next to a wall.
So I cannot remember. All right, yeah, they're playing special. Okay, I was about to say I can't remember whether McNuggets pushed back star or special, but it looks like it was star, so they'll be playing special.
Yeah, special cup, the best cup. Huge shortcut opportunity on Donut Plains 3 with the mushroom. Fairly easy one as well. Cooper Beach 2 is just brutal all the time with the fish in the main path, and computer players don't slow down through the water portion. That one sucks. That's one where you just kind of survive. Ghost Valley 3, to always take the platform jump, the easiest platform jump of any of the Ghost Valleys.
I made sure to mention that during your match.
I'm glad I didn't fail it then.
Yes.
And also a big shortcut opportunity with the feather on that track. And then Rainbow Road has huge feather opportunity. Vanilla Lake 2 is pretty much the only one where you just have to drive, baby. And high-level players can get mid-40s on that race, and mid to upper-level players get upper 50s.
Yes, it's a very easy to bleed time there. So it looks like Eric messed up his menuing a little bit, because he started a bit behind McNuggets, even though McNuggets is slightly delayed in terms of stream. But McNuggets pulled a Phelps, so he is behind. And he needs to contend with CPU traffic, which on this track is particularly difficult to deal with.
Yeah. The general consensus is this is probably the hardest track on the game. Maybe Bowser Castle 3 could take that honor, but the amount of difficult turns, plus the water, plus the narrow track, and then if you add in some of the higher level NBT on this one, it can turn into a nightmare on time trials.
I'm curious to see if McNuggets will go for no.
He
burned the
used
shroom.
The safety after hitting the Monty Mole.
No, I'm pretty sure Eric got a shroom. I was paying more attention to McNuggets, but no. Okay, I guess he didn't. He didn't use the Moses shroom at the very least. All right, but McNuggets saves
with
it.
The clutch.
Yes, he still finishes first. So solid comeback by him. That is no easy feat, even if you get a mushroom.
10 push-ups for Eric. I have lost count of how many actual push-ups either player needs to do. I think that was Eric's first miss zoom, though.
No, he's missed at least one other one, I'm pretty sure.
Ah, that's a shame. All right. Eric's going the island route.
Yeah, it's
the beach too.
Oh, push-ups for McNuggets as well.
McNuggets has to be at least at 50.
That sounds about right. It's a lot. Oh, another shroom for Eric. I'm pretty sure I saw him get a DP3 shroom. Okay, so this time he goes for a long boost. McNuggets is in trouble again. And this time it's arguably worse. He gets a shroom again to salvage it. We'll see if he goes for a long boost. It may not be the best idea with all this CPU traffic just ahead of him. Another shroom for Eric. Wow, the
nice safe one.
The cartel RNG is strong. We saw in the seeding runs as well with Matt, also a member of the cartel, getting some pretty impressive items, making himself look
Who's
French.
that? Oh,
all right. Yeah, that's tough.
With Luigi using his star there, it would have been prudent to just
Yeah,
Just use that
the star's a
mushroom
good
to
pickup,
get
though.
out of danger.
This is one of the rare moments where getting a star is quite helpful.
Yes, most of these tracks, you do not want to see that item. Ghost Valley 3 and Donut Plains 3 and Rainbow Road, a star is just a nightmare. It completely changes how you handle, and it's just
It's
way
awful.
faster. It's a nightmare. You don't want one.
It seems cool and all from a casual perspective because, oh, you're invincible. It's an invincible nanner. But then at high level, it completely messes you up. But there are a couple tracks where getting a star is in fact useful. And one of them was KB2, which we saw just before, where McNuggets actually got a useful star. And Vanilla Lake 1 is the other big one, where it's very useful to get a star. But generally speaking, you don't want one anyways, because if you do get one, it means you're not in first.
I think you have to be either in 4th or 5th at least.
It's second downwards. You can get one.
Really? Second?
Yeah, because there are three different item distributions. See, you just got one in third. There are 3 different item distributions for Grand Prix. There's the item distribution if you're on the first lap or in first, which is the same thing. There's the item distribution if you're ranked between 2nd and 4th. And there's the item distribution if you're ranked between 5th and 8th.
So a demo of the different handling for McNuggets. He didn't go for the platform jump because while the star was in use, and good call on his part, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's a very good call. You definitely do not want to be going for that. All right, will you attempt a feather? Oh, he's going for the finish line feather. Oh boy. Yeah, that's not happening.
Insanity.
It's probably a rank. It might be a rank out.
I'm sure he knows what his situation is right now in relation to where Eric is.
He must know. I suppose it's worth a shot. Yes. Okay. He's still alive. He knew he had to try something, but I'm not sure that the risk reward was worth it in that case, because the normal feather shortcut in GV3 still saves a lot of time.
Yeah, it saves a lot of time, and there's virtually no risk. If you miss it but land close enough to the other side of the track, Lakitu just puts you down right there. And you basically have the same time of lap as if you had just raced around the track normally.
Yep. Meanwhile, Eric struggled quite a bit on VL2, but with McNuggets missing yet another start boost, having to do even more push-ups, it's not looking good. He's not going to be able to pull a double underscore certified special cup comeback.
Gear must have fell a couple times on Rainbow Road.
Oh, more than a couple.
Okay.
he pulled the Zarkov.
Well, it's you're putting yourself in a really
again, Mario.
This is just rough.
It's very rough.
To comment on the last match for me, I mean, when you feather for air, when you put yourself in a position that on the last track you're hoping for a screw up from the other guy, it's not a good situation for you.
Oh, excuse me. Yeah, well, I'm at least hoping that McNuggets will be able to keep it together. Oh, all right. Actually, Eric is disqualified. All right, McNuggets, if you hear me, finish the cup. He's given up, but it doesn't matter. Eric is disqualified for this cup. He did an illegal shortcut.
Yeah, you can only do that shortcut where the feather clips the finish line on the final lap, because we ban Lakitu lap skips.
Yeah, so Eric has so to be fair, no, this is a win for McNuggets. This cup is a win for McNuggets. But to explain what happened there, Eric was not like, that wasn't a deliberate attempt at a throw. There's actually a legitimate reason to go for what he did. It's CDM rules, man. It's also in the rule set. Now,
it is possible to make that jump all the way across with the feather on Rainbow Road. It's like a 2-frame window, and you have to have max coins and max speed, and I'm pretty sure you need to be boosting while doing so.
Yes.
But you land all the way on the other side of the track and then immediately have to hit the brake so that you don't fall into the void on the opposite side. Exceedingly difficult to pull off.
Yeah, so there would be no reason to go for it there other than to style. Yeah, so you can actually, as Dan was just saying, there is a reason to go for that feather on a middle lap. Because then you can get another feather and do the finish line, like the lap 5 trick. But alright, well, I didn't expect that one. But McNuggets takes Special Cup. Although he still has Rainbow Road to go.
This is so rigged for charity.
Very rigged. I'm surprised that the cartel members did not know this, because this is a rule at the championships that they have both been to several times. Also, yes, it is true that Paul could still get DQ'd if he goes for the same thing. I'll remove the point from him if he somehow manages to DQ himself. No. Even if he game overs, he still gets the point.
Curious choice for McNuggets after he fell on that split on the fork in the road.
Yeah,
basically driving into that thwomp for no apparent reason. Just wanted 4 less coins and another 7 seconds lost.
No, so to answer some additional questions in chat, game over is a valid outcome to one of these rounds. So there is a system in place for comparing the results of players who do not manage to finish the cup. So like a game over is a valid result. A DQ is you don't have a valid result.
Yeah, interesting question. If you had announced the DQ and he had heard that, could he have given up like on lap 4 or something like that and start over in 8th place and just rerun Rainbow Road?
Because he landed he made an illegal move and thus is just disqualified. Yeah, so I just need to check. I just wanted to reread what I had written. So I made a mistake when preparing this tournament, which was to write or to post the rules in a paste bin. The problem with paste bin is that you can't edit it. At least not when you make a paste bin when logged out, at least, which is what I did. So that's a lesson learned for me.
So an early fall for McNuggets on Rainbow Road means dealing with lap traffic.
Oh, did he rank out? I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I wasn't a fan. Unfortunate.
One of the positive parts about Rainbow Road is that the computer players race relatively slowly. So if you so any new players out there, just race in the middle of the track. You know, get your slides and your counter steers and just stay in the middle and take your 128 and be done with it. Computer players are going to finish around 145. It's not really necessary to be going for these corner hopping, super tight turns.
McNuggets wants his time trial lines.
I mean, even on time trial, if you just race in the middle, you're going to get a mid 130s. just don't fall.
No, McNuggets. McNuggets.
Boy.
You won because Eric got DQ'd.
Oh yeah, Star Cup. We love Star Cup. Punishment. Yes. LMAE? Exactly. Star Cup is the worst. No one likes it.
Did he leave? Oh, he left.
I would
Okay.
have enough of it too. So
He's in the chat.
maybe within the next half hour or so, we'll get McNuggets to fire his Super Nintendo back up.
No, his stream is still on because his timer is running. Eric got disqualified because he did an illegal move. So his race is deemed invalid.
You know, I would probably just leave if I knew the next cup was Star Cup coming up. Yeah, just forget about it.
Star Cup is tough.
No one wants to race that crap. The only fun.
All right, he's rebooted his console.
Track is Koopa Beach 1. Fight me on that. No one likes Koopa Beach 1.
All right, McNuggets is back in the game. Excellent. He just needs a couple minutes to change his pad, aka his controller.
Always got to blame the controller. There is no one else to blame but that controller. I always make fun of that, but there is some legitimacy to that, as I have been finding out over the last couple weeks.
Yep.
I ordered 2 more controllers online, and they're made in China instead of Japan. I mean, come on, Nintendo, don't outsource your production. And the one controller would, like, the right button would stick, and if I'm trying to counter steer left, I would just keep on going right. And then the other controller, the R button didn't have enough of a post on it, so I couldn't actually jump or hold R. So I kind of Frankensteined everything and swapped parts around and made a workable controller.
Impressive. I would also like to relay a quote from McNuggets himself, which is, and I quote, "Fun fact, Super Famicom pads fly further than Super Nintendo ones."
Probably the truth. We'll take your word for it.
All right. Apparently his R button cracked.
Well, with the amount of abuse our R buttons take, it happens. That's why I had to go away from my old controller, the one that I've been using since 1993 or so, when I got the Super Nintendo and Super Mario Kart for Christmas.
Is there like sawing happening in your in the background?
This sound?
Yeah, that sound.
Okay, that's me moving my leg. I will stop.
Oh, that is very loud.
Okay.
Yeah, it sounded like you were sawing wood.
Well, maybe I am a serial killer. That was actually a wood chipper in the background. I was forcing Bat Mallard through it.
I was not ready for that movie. I watched it with my parents not too long ago, and I was not prepared.
Dog, that's vulgar. Lewd.
All right. McNuggets seems to be using a controller again. And we have a Hobo McNuggets in chat. Hello. This may be your long-lost twin.
So the explanation for that sound and where my mic is, I'm not 100% sure if the mic I have plugged into my computer and the headset that I'm wearing is actually the current one in use. It might be the built-in microphone on my laptop. So it seems to be working for now, and I just won't bump or move anything. I'm kind of surprised that's the first instance of it, but whatever.
I must say, I'm very confused by the realization that we have Hobo McNuggets in the chat.
I think it's beautiful.
It's a glorious coincidence.
These two should meet up and give each other a great big hug, if that's something you like to do. I personally try to avoid all human contact, but,
except when it comes to reminding other people to do their push-ups.
Well, technically that's not human contact. I mean, everyone's a tough guy on the internet.
Oh, yeah. Everyone in chat is just one of my alts. That's just how it goes. Ooh. Drown off the bat in lap 1 for McNuggets. Into a fish.
I don't know how much you went over the mechanics of this track in the previous match, but one of the more complicated techniques, the water slide and the water slide boost, as we're seeing Eric do. Build up a boost off of turn 1 and then hop into the water mid-slide. And if you hop into the water while sliding and release the direction button and the R button and just kind of let the slide go, you don't lose any speed. And then if you built up a boost beforehand, the boost just kind of happens and you can sail through water for like up to 4 seconds and not lose any speed. Very big part of high-level technique so that you don't, slow down constantly.
And in the meantime, Eric pulled a double KVD corner, which is on the last corner of KB1. If you go for what is often a completely unnecessary jump over the deep water and then end up clipping it and drowning you.
Is this for real? We have a Mrs. McNuggets? Is that like McNuggets' actual wife, or is that just
I'm willing to believe it is, because so
okay.
let it be known for a little bit of a history lesson, well, very recent history, that McNuggets is not a username that he chose for himself initially. He has the name McNuggets based on the South Park episode of McNuggets versus Gadnuck, which is from a, let's say, chicken fighting ring from an episode. And McNuggets is just a small chicken who was confronted against the giant, buffed up, roided up rooster that, in this case, in the SMK metaphor, is KVD, was number 1 seed in this tournament, because they played a match online for fun at one point. And so a parody poster was made of McNuggets versus Gadnuck, aka Paulo Kelly versus Carol van Dyvenboden. And so people started calling Paul McNuggets. And at first, he had to warm up to the idea. But eventually, especially after it was pointed out to him that McNuggets never actually loses in the South Park episode, he has since fully embraced it, and his family in particular, so his wife and daughter, are very much on board with this, and they love it. So that is why I personally fully believe, as has since been confirmed in chat, that Mrs. McNuggets is actually his wife's username here on Twitch.
All right, and back to the race. Just want to mention on lap 4 of that last one, McNuggets had a mushroom that he tried to use to hit a bumper and hop over the mud lake, but unfortunately he used it too close to one of the bumpers, and the mushroom basically got eaten up. So you have to use your shroom and get top speed, like far away from any sort of jump for it to be effective. Looks like McNuggets is just kind of using one of my strategies, just, release the gas when you need to keep traction on the ice and just survive this stupid track.
This is by far the worst track in the game. I am firmly of that opinion. And it's also very much in contention for being one of the worst Mario Kart tracks ever.
Alright, so the Hell on Earth, Bowser Castle 3. For more reasons than one.
Yeah, it's definitely the most difficult track in Grand Prix.
Well, especially one player. The fourth Thwomp wall is just lame.
Yeah, so to speak a bit about one player versus two player, if you've checked out Super Mario Kart's speedrun.com page, you may have noticed that there are subcategories for 1P and 2P, which indicate whether you're playing the game in the 1P mode or the 2P mode. And the reason why the distinction is made there is because in the two-player mode, among other changes, a lot of the tracks have fewer obstacles. And the track where that comes into play the most is this one, BC3. Because you'll see that on this narrow section of track that McNuggets just passed, there is a wall of 4 thwomps. And if you're unlucky, because the thwomp positioning is random, they'll raise and drop at random moments. If you're unlucky, and this happens a lot, all 4 thwomps will be down at the same time, creating the thwomp wall, which is only passable by squeezing through a tiny 1 or 2 pixel gap on the left side between the leftmost thwomp and the wall. However, in the 2-player mode, the 2 external thwomps of that wall disappear, so they're not there, which means that you can guarantee safe passage through that section. So that was just a quick note on 1P versus 2P, as Eric heads into MC4, the final track, will most likely be the final track of this match. Because there's no way he can DQ himself on this one.
Yeah, get the resident sleepers in chat.
Yeah, it's a must.
McNuggets finishing up. Hopefully, got that mushroom. Good.
Yes.
Good work.
All right, he's safe. Yes, McNuggets struggles a lot on
run. Eric had a sub 124, which is highly respectable on Bowser Castle 3. No beneficial items to his name either.
Yep.
So this one is over. Mario Circuit 4 doesn't really have any pitfalls. No real cool tricks. No major places to long boost. It's just, drive around the track, and some people will NBT in more spots than others, but yeah.
Yeah, not much to say really. It's just mostly just going to be closing out the match.
Yeah, so if we were at GDQ, this would be the time to read donations.
Alternatively, we can talk about where to play SMK or see more SMK. If you want to play or watch more SMK, there are a variety of resources that you can check out. The main ones are the links which you find in the bottom right of the screen, as Eric confirms his victory, 3-1 over McNuggets. And as McNuggets wraps up his race, I just like to point out those few links in the bottom right. So the top one, MarioKartPlayers.com/SMK, is the main hub for our community. That's where the time trial rankings are hosted, with hundreds and hundreds of players, with rankings that have been maintained by the one and only godfather of SMK, Sami Chedin, since 1998, and updated on a weekly basis. Below that, you have speedrun.com/SMK, which I think for the crowd watching this will most likely be familiar. So that's where we have our more mainstream style speedrunning leaderboards. So that's individual Grand Prix Cups or All Cups. And finally, you have ffsmk.org, which is the website for the annual PAL World Championships in Europe every August. Yeah,
and we also have to give our obligatory shout out to the Super Mario Kart Players page, MarioKartPlayers.com/SMK.
Yep, that's the one. And then also one final link before we close out this match. If you are interested in the best times on individual tracks in Grand Prix, you can check out smkgp150cc.com. The 150 is digits 150. smkgp150cc.com. That's where we have all our individual track Grand Prix records with item use and such. So GG to both the runners. We're running a little bit behind schedule, so we're just going to chain into the next match. Unfortunately, no interview, no post-game discussion with either of the players. But thank you very much to both of the runners. Thank you, Dan, for commentating with me.
No problem. Thank you, Lafungo, for organizing this entire thing, basically.
It's my pleasure. I'm glad that people are getting a kick out of it.
All right, and thanks for watching to the millions on Speed Gaming.
Yes, thank you.
See you later, everyone.
And stay tuned for the next match, which is going to be Yorkshire SMK, who was on the commentary for the previous match, and Jarmu, who was was part of the showcase 10 days ago or so. So yeah, thanks for watching. Stay tuned. And until next time for me, bye-bye.